Hello, everyone. This is a video that will cover some of the things that were on the handout from our week 1 class. All of this is in Google Chrome. I understand that some of you may use Safari or Firefox, and I'm sure that all of these things can also be done in those web browsers, but you are going to have to do that research yourself. So let's get started. So one of the first things I want to talk about in Google Chrome is obviously you need to log in. So over here, you would have logged in. That makes sure that you can access things like your bookmarks and other things, as you've learned more about what you can do in Google. First thing I want to look at is this bookmarks bar, right, which is right up here. Notice it has things I use frequently, such as maybe access to Canvas or access to Google Maps, or even all the way to my bookmark list. But what's important about this is that I can put a lot in here, but that doesn't mean I can see it. So for example, I have these little double arrows, which means that I have more content than I have bar. I would have to stretch out my screen in order to see all of those. But I can also do a folder in my bookmarks bar. And in that, I can add things that I don't want to forget, that I don't want to have to go dig for, such as how to convert inches to inches and feet, how to do a square root calculator, how to get into Suffolk Workday, ProQuest eBook Central, things like that. So in order to do that, we might simply want to find something that might be interesting to have, such as a metric conversion chart. And even better, I have a calculator where I could choose different things. So this might be something I want to put in my bookmarks bar or in my conveniences. So I can simply say add or edit bookmark. So I can remove that if I want. And again, I can put it here, or I can go choose another folder and I can put it in any of my other bookmarks. Notice up here, I've got two options, right? I have the bookmarks bar, which is what we see at the top of our screen, and then I have everything else. So I could put it on the bar. Maybe that's the name I want. And if that's the case, now it's showing up right here. Again, I could also change that and put it back in conveniences if that was something that I wanted as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go back to a plain screen. All right, a couple other things to note are, again, what are bookmarks all about? Bookmarks are ways of saving the URL. And there is a way to manipulate some of that information to make it easier to find. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bookmarks and Lists, Bookmark Manager, which gets me on the left, kind of a main column, bookmarks bar. Again, if I open it, they're on my conveniences. If I click on it, those are on my conveniences. But I'm talking about other bookmarks. So other bookmarks are just bookmarks that exist in your version of Chrome, meaning you open Chrome anywhere in the world and you have access to these, which is really nice when you are traveling between places or you are traveling between using different computers. You can make folders, such as I have here. I have one called temporary. I have one that's on all sorts of different storage containers I'm trying to figure out what to do with. I have to do or to go. Within some of these, I also have other folders. And even within some of those folders, I might have other folders. So we don't need to go there now, but it is something to keep in mind. So what's so interesting about using all these bookmarks? I can keep track of anything I find that might help me with my work while I'm a student at Suffolk for any class. It's another great way to also kind of act as a way of keeping all of your documentation. So for example, if you submit a project in spatial graphics, I want a URL that has a connection to show me where you got that image from or where you got that information from. A great way to hang on to that is to put those in your bookmarks. So you're not doing a reverse image search or trying to remember what site you were on that gave you that little interesting tidbit of information about something that we might be working on during this semester. So let's take a look at how I might just add a new bookmark from beginning. So for example, I actually was doing this earlier. So why don't we pick this up? All right. So I'm thinking about going to the Newport Mansions. So I'm looking for some information. So here's possibly the best place to start, newportmansions.org. So I want to bookmark this so it's easy to come back to. So what I can do is I click my star. And again, I have to tell it where I want it. I don't want it up in my bookmarks bar. I could put it in travel. Well, but I have other things in travel. So what if I choose another folder? And where's my travel? Way down. Within travel, I say new folder. And then I might say Newport trip. And then I can save that. Let's do a few more. I'm also interested in historic, not mansions, hotel, Newport. So I've got a whole bunch here, but do I want to look for hotels.com, Airbnb, TripAdvisor, maybe Historic Hotels of America, but that looks like it's just one, maybe the best. Maybe something like this that I can then zero in on Newport. So again, I want to add that, right? So I can click this again. It already shows up Newport. So the title of this is Newport Hotels in Newport, Newport Beach Hotel and Suites, Rhode Island. It's a lot of text. What if I just want this to say, get rid of all that, and just say, how about lodging? Newport trip, done. So now if I go back and I look at my bookmarks and I go back to my Newport trip, I've got Newport Mansions and I've got lodging. So I could edit this. I can edit it when I make it a bookmark, or I can edit it now. It just says that this is going to be the mansion's general info. So I can get specific and I can tell myself what it is I want. What I haven't done, notice, is I have not touched the URL. So I can continue to go back and forth and add all sorts of things regarding this trip, such as what if I want to do some kind of harbor cruise? Boston, not Boston, right? Again, Newport, Rhode Island, cruises, classic cruises, maybe something like that. So again, same kind of thing. And again, I can simplify this and just say cruises. I could say that this is Newport Classic Cruises. So I know what the company is. Oops. Again, I had a little system I was using where all of this was in caps. Done. So now again, I go back to my bookmarks and there's my cruises. So Chrome does not give you a lot of options for organizing things. You can sort by name, which puts them in alphabetical order. Hence, you'll notice why it might be helpful to use some kind of a starting word that lets you know. How does that play into the work that we do? If I go into main interior design and I go to something like textiles, I have lots of companies here who do different things. Some of them say something like leather local. This is a local showroom. This is a local one. This is leather again. It looks like I've repeated myself. Again, some of this might need a little cleanup. But notice they are in alphabetical order, except for this last one. So if I go back up here and I say sort by name, now I have two here. It doesn't give you a lot of options. Which is why if you look at my main interior design products and resources on the left, you'll notice that all of these are numbered. Because if I were to select this and say sort by name, I have numbers, so it's kind of forcing it into a certain type of order. So that's, again, something that I'm using to kind of control. And notice at the bottom, I've got a couple where I'm saying I need to check this and file it. And here's another one I need to sort. I need to figure out what all this stuff in here is, or maybe it's already somewhere else. That's a little bit more advanced, but it's just the idea of how we name things to keep track of them. So again, for you also, you are here. At any time, you can say, I want to add a new folder. And you could add a new folder. And you save it. Go figure out where it is. Might be all the way down there. I might have accidentally put it in this, which I did. So I can drag it out. Notice as I drag, I have a blue line. I can drop it and I can place it between two folders. If I place it on top, now it's inside art. So if I go to art, there it is. So what I really want is I just want this to be up at the top, maybe even above teaching and advising. So now if I close all these and I go all the way up to the top, I have Spatial Graphics Fall 25, and I can keep anything in here that I grab. I can also, again, with this selected, select here, add a new folder, and do something like anything that's Revit related. That could be how-to videos. That could be families. It could be a quick link to some of the free download websites for getting Revit families. All right, so let's talk about another way of managing bookmarks in Revit. I'm sorry, in Chrome. Okay, so notice, let's just go back to a new tab. Notice over here and up here, I've got a couple tabs open, right? I have bookmarks. We don't need that. I have Zoom. I have another bookmarks. I don't need that. I have a new tab. I also have these four little kind of lozenge tablet shapes that have words on them and they're in colors. So I have a cat named Luke. Notice if I open this, then I have a white line and I have all these things that are kind of part of that grouping. So I have grouped my tabs. And these are all just things that I have quickly added that might help me pick out one. Here's a review, and I can collapse that. They're all still there. I may not have bookmarked them, but they're just here as kind of like a quick reference. So once I have figured out the size of my cat, right around there, the girth, I can order this. But in the meantime, I can just keep those here. So the same thing, say for sewing. I'm looking for a new sewing machine. So I've got, notice again how the orange line covers everything that's under there. So say, for instance, I want to look at Bernina B-R-N-A, Bernina machines, just in case I spelled it wrong, Bernina machines. So here's the Bernina line of sewing machines. So I'm going to come back to this. I don't want to have to even type what I just did. So what can I do with this? I can right click and I can say add tab to group and I can say sew. So notice now it has this little orange. I can collapse. And when I open it, there's Bernina. So Bernina now is included in those. I can also right click on these and say move group to new window and open an entirely new window that just has these open. So, maybe I'm taking a break and I want to work on this while as this main tab has a whole bunch of things that are open that have something to do with maybe my homework. Again, I can still close this and open it. I can still close this and notice so is still there. So they also appear down here. Notice that they also take up space in my bookmarks bar. I haven't figured out if there's a way to not have them show. Notice also, again, I can collapse Luke, I can collapse sew. I can also grab this and move it over. So now they're all over here, and I might have some other links open out here as I do things like check the weather for class coming up. Where is my weather? There's my weather. So again, check my weather. So again, my weather is where? It's on my bookmarks bar. I just don't have quite enough room. So if I wanted more room, I would need to drag this out And you might not be able to see this on your screen. You're going to have to scroll over. So I can find weather, and I can just drag weather. See that little white line? And drop it. That way, when I am working with a much more condensed page, weather is right there, and I don't have to go to this to find it. So for your homework, you are going to set up, you're going to go to what? You can go to Bookmarks and Lists, Bookmark Manager. You are going to go ahead and set up a folder. So again, I select other bookmarks, I go to here, I add a new folder. And then once I've added that new folder, right, just any of them, you can select it. And then within that, you can come over to here and you can add a new folder inside there. Notice when I do select this and I right click, I can see that I have 63 in here. I can open them, all of them. I can open them in a new tab. I could create a tab. I could open them in a separate window, two different kinds. I can delete, I can rename. So again, any of these in here, I click on, I open it, and there again, different things that I have kept to come back and use. You can see that I have not renamed this one because it's really long, whereas that one I've probably renamed, right? Something really simple like envelope, origami envelope tutorial. But envelope is my keyword, all in caps, all at the front. I think that should do it for everything that you are going to need to do. Take a look at this after the class and see if this helps you move forward.